So now let's move on to the settings. And for the settings, you are going to be able to perform all of the settings on your form. And this is a long settings page, so I'm just going to brush through each of them. So for the display, let's start with the display. So you can decide to show the header, or you can decide to hide it, and you can decide which text direction you want to use, whether left to right or right to left. You can also decide to change your form language. If you do not want this form to be written in English, you can decide to change it to whatever is it you want. If your respondents are from other countries, you can decide to change this form to that country language. You can also decide that you want to change this submit button. Instead of using submit, you can say something like sign up, or you can say something like get started, whichever one works for you. So you can change this, and after doing all of this, remember to save. And when you click on save, that setting has been saved. Then you can move to the thank you page and redirection. So instead of showing this thank you, your form has been submitted, you can redirect to another page if you want. So if you have created a custom thank you page in another website, or if you have something on your website and you want to just redirect them to that page, you can actually do that. Just put in the URL to wherever you're taking them to, and that will be done. You can also decide that you want to link to another form in your Zoho account. So all you need to do is just to write the name of the form in here, and when you write the name of the form, it is going to show all of the form you have in your Zoho CRM, your Zoho form account, and you can be able to link to another form. And the next one is you can also redirect to the same form if you want. So that means if they click on submit, they will be redirected to the same form. And actually, it's rare to use this, but if you want to use it, you can actually do that. And don't forget that you can also add in a rich text where you can be able to write a long thank you text. So you can also decide that you want to include the link where respondents can be able to add another response. So if they finish filling in the form and they click on submit, you can include a link in your thank you page where they can be able to add another response. This menu is advisable if you want to be able to collect multiple response from the same person. But if you do not want multiple response from the same person, you only want one response, you can just remove this. You can also decide that you want to include the link to the download page after the thank you page. Just pick the default one, and you can also decide that to use Google Analytics, but you have to set this up. So when you are done with all of this, you click on save, and the next one, which is the date and time, you can also decide to change your date format to whatever you want. You can decide to change your time zone to whatever you want. So I'm from Nigeria and I'm in Nigeria, so it is showing Africa, Lagos. You can also decide to change it if you're using EST, if you're using PST, whichever one you want, you can just change that. And you can also decide to change the calendar language if you want, and you can decide to add in holiday lists if you want. So when you're done, you click on save. So for your form availability, you can also make sure that this form is available at every time. When you pick always, it is going to be available all the time. And you can also pick between dates, and that means that this form is only going to be available from a start date to an end date. So let's say you have a convention that is coming up by the end of October. You can say that you only want this form to be available by then. So you can pick the dates and you can pick the month. So let's say by the end of October 2025, we want this form to stop working. So that means people will not be able to fill in this form by the end of October. So you can also select a start date. So let's say we want the start date to be tomorrow, and we can say that from tomorrow till the end date, we want this form to be available. You can also decide that you want a daily submission limit. So you can decide to add maybe 10. You can decide to say that you only want 50 people to be able to put their details in this form daily. Okay, so another one, which is the date range. So when you pick from 1 to 10, you are saying that response is only going to come from the first date of every month to the 10th day of every month. So you can say you only want to accept these responses from the first day to the 20th day. So you can also decide that you only want to pick specific days. So people cannot be able to fill in this form on a weekend, and you can decide to remove the weekend. You can also decide to remove whichever day you want. You can also decide that you only want them to be able to fill this form at a particular time. So you can decide that the start time for filling this form will be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can decide to change this whichever way you want. And when this form expire, you can decide to write in a message. You can say something like, sorry, this registration has closed, or sorry, we have all the available slots have been taken, or you can say sorry, all available slots have been taken. You can just write in whatever you want. You can also restrict by the number of submission, so you can decide that the number of submission limits should be 100. That means if there are more than 100 submissions already, we cannot accept more. And you can also use the same message by saying that sorry, all available slots has been taken. You can also restrict by submission IP. If you want, you can restrict to one submission per respondent. So that means when they put in a submission for the form, they cannot put in another one. So when you're done with all these settings, just click on save. So for SMPT, it allows you to send form email notification through your own SMPT email server. So that means you can send from your own domain, like contacts at your domain.com, rather than using Zoho server. But you will have to make sure that you can be able to set this up. So that means you need to add in when you click on enable, it is going to ask you to pick your SMPT server name. Then you can set this up by adding the host, by adding the port, and by adding the sender address, username, and password. So this just allow you to add in your own email instead of using Zoho notification email. So when you're done, you can go to others, and for others, this is like miscellaneous settings. So you can decide that the delimiters can be comma, or the address delimiter. That means the character between each text can be comma or can be space, whichever one you want. You can also decide that you want to collect your respondent's IP, and when you click on yes, your IP for your respondents will be collected, so you can know where they're coming from. You can also decide that you want to prevent submission when the enter key is pressed. So that means they cannot submit this form until they click on submit itself, and when they click on enter, this form will not be submitted. And the next one, we have email notification. We can decide to send emails. So for email notification, we can decide to send emails. So for if it's a new record, we can decide to configure an email, and it's going to go from your email here, and these emails are the one provided by, this is provided by Zoho Mail, and the other ones are my own email. And the notification at Zoho Forms is also working, so you can use that, or you can connect your own email. So when you pick whichever one you want to add as the sender email, you can decide to add in the two. So you can decide to send this to every of the email field you have added in here. So if you are collecting email like the parents' email, the father's email, or the mother's email, you can decide to send to all of them at once. So you can decide to, let's say this is the father's email, you can click on this, and if this is the mother's email, you can just click on this. So it is going to send to the two of them at the same time. So you just write in your text, and you can also use their advanced editor if you want. And after you're done with that text, you can decide to add in the attachment of their responses. So you can include the attachments. You can also add the form submission as a PDF, and you can attach met fields. So if you click on advanced submission, it's going to take you to the place where you can choose a template, or you can start from scratch. So when you choose a template, you are going to see all of their email templates in Zoho Form, so you can pick whichever one works for you. So if we are picking this and we bring it in, we can be able to edit this text to whatever you want. So when you are done, you click on done, and the form, as the email has been added. So when they fill in this form, you can send out this email to them directly through their email. So you need to add in a subject before this can be submitted. So let's just add in something. So when you are done with all of this settings, you click on save, and your email has been saved, and this email will be sent out to people who submit a new record. And you can do the same thing for the updated records. So when a respondent come into that same form and they updated their responses, you can also configure that. So you can also decide to send out an SMS to people when they fill in the form, but for this you will need to set up your SMS account. So you can use Swallow, you can use Clickatel, you can use SMS Magic, whichever one you want. So when you set that up, it is going to allow you to send out SMS messages when they fill in the form. The same thing applies for WhatsApp. If they fill in the form, you can decide to send out WhatsApp messages. But for you to be able to use WhatsApp messages, you must have connected your business WhatsApp accounts to Zoho Forms. So the other one is for the branding. You can add in your custom domain if you want. So for instance, instead of using the Zoho Form custom domain, you can decide to add your own, and you can decide to start using it. And you can also decide to add in the browser tab, and you can decide to change the title. You can also decide to add a favicon if you want. And what favicon is this little button. You can see for Zoho Form they have this favicon here. So the same thing applies for your form, so people can be able to see the favicon when they come into their browser. So when you add in the image for your favicon, you click on save, and that has been saved. So what prefill does, the prefill alias or the prefill URL, what it does is that it allows you to prefill the form fields using the custom URL. So it helps you it helps the user speed up the filling of the form, since they already have the prefilled text in there already. So what you need to do is just to add some alias to the form field. So let's say for the name, we can decide to add something like F name, and you can decide to add another one for the email. Or let's say for the last name, we can decide to add an alias, and we can say L name. And you can do this for all of the fields you have in your Zoho form. So what this does is that you can generate a prefill URL, and when you send this prefill URL to people in your when you send it to the respondents and they click on that URL, it is going to take them to the form, but it's going to take them to the form that has been prefilled with all of this information you have added here. So instead of them starting again from scratch with the form, it is going to just prefill their details already, and they can change whatever they want to change. And when they click on submitted, it is going to be updated in Zoho Forms. So let's use for websites, and let's just say websites. I'm just going to pick few of them because of time. Let me pick phone, and let me pick email. You need to save this, and when you click on save, that has been saved. So when you click on save, that has been saved, then you can generate your prefill form, your prefill link. So this is how the link is going to look like. So you can decide to copy all of this link, and you can decide to send this link to the respondent if you want them to be able to update their information. So when they copy this link and they paste into their browser, they are going to see their details prefilled already. So that is how to set that up. So for the static prefill URL, you can do this for individual users, or you can do this for individual respondents. So that means when you click on configure now, you can be able to add in the fields, and you can be able to add in their field value. So you can do this for all the fields in here, and you can generate the prefill link and just send it to the particular user. So for dynamic prefill, it allows you to automatically fetch form fields in real time from an external source using API or through webhooks. So if they are loading the form on the website, they can be able to pull in their data from that website. So we can also decide that they can be able to pull through a webhook. We can pull data from Zoho CRM into the form when they click on the form. But since we already have that Zoho CRM field in the form already, we cannot use this, because the Zoho CRM field we have added in the form is almost the same thing like the dynamic prefill. So this next one is the PDF editor. We can decide that we want to edit this PDF. You know, the PDF we sent after they fill in the form. Yes, we can decide to edit it. So we can decide to modify the default PDF that we have. So this is the default one, where it is going to show them all of the details that they have put in here. And we can also decide that we do not want this, we want to explore their template, their PDF templates. So they have some nice templates which you can be able to explore in here. So you can pick whichever one works for you, and you can decide to use that, and you can decide to drag in all of the fields you have created in that form. So when you click on your fields here, and you see all of these, and you see all of this and you see all of the fields you have created, you can decide to drag and drop each of them into whichever one you want. Just make sure you arrange all of them properly, and you can be able to use that. So when you click on when you drag in all of the fields you want to add, and then you can click on save and then click on publish, and instead of using the default form, they can be able to use this fancy form, the fancy PDF you have created. So let's cancel this. And we can also do the same thing for the update record. We can decide that we want to change the PDF. So as you can see, my template has been added in here, and it's saying I can create a maximum of 5 templates for a form. So the document match allows you to connect to Zoho Writer, and you can be able to automatically generate a document. So let's say you want to be able to automatically generate a letter or generate a contract. So Zoho Writer in connection with Zoho Forms can help with that. So when you click on your submissions and your storage, you're going to see your geolocation. So for the geolocation, you can be able to capture the IP address. So that means if you enable this, you can allow them to be able to fill the form from any location, and that IP address will be captured. So we can also decide that we should allow form access if the IP address is known, and if the IP address is not known, then we cannot allow them to fill in the form. So you can remove this if you want, and you click on save, and the IP address will be captured. You can also click on your save and resume, and click on the enable, and when you click on enable, you are saying that if they are filling the form, they can save their details and come back to fill the remaining field later. So that means if you disable this, they cannot be able to save the form and come back. That means they will have to fill everything at a go. But when you click on enable, you are saying that they can be able to save and complete later. So instead of using save, you can say something like save and complete later, or you can say save for now, or whatever works for you. You can also decide that you can allow respondents to get the save form in their email. Let's say you have like 10 pages form, and someone has filled like 2 pages and they want to save and continue the rest later. That means they can be able to save the form, and they can get the form link in their email, the saved form link. So they do not need to start again. If they want to complete the rest, they can just start from wherever they stop. Then you can also set the maximum limit for save entry per user. So you can tell them that we only accept five entries. So that means they cannot save more than 5 times. So also, you can also prompt user to review their saved entries before adding a new entry to the form. So if they fill the first 2 pages and they are going to page 10, then you can ask them to review the saved entry they did before they move to the next one. So after you are done with all of this, you can click on save, and when you click on save, that has been done. For the edit response, you can allow your respondents to edit their response even after they've submitted. So you can decide to click on yes, and when you click on yes, you can include a link where they can be able to edit that form in the thank you page. So that means when they click on the edit button in the thank you page, they are going to be able to see all of their fields that they've put in, and they can edit whichever one they want to change. So if they made a mistake in the form, they can decide to edit that and correct every of the mistake they have made. You can also decide to include a link to download the PDF of the edited responses in the thank you page, and you can decide to use the default one, or you can decide to use the custom template we just created. And you can also set an expiration date for the edit link. So that means that if they fill in the form after 1 month, they cannot be able to, we can decide that after 1 month they cannot be able to edit the form. So you can decide based on the date of and time of submission, or you can say you want to use a fixed date. So you are saying that the end time should be a particular date. So let's say we have a conference that is coming by the end of October. So that means they cannot be able to edit that form until the end of October. And we can also say that we want to use the date and time of submission. So we can say that this this edit link expires 12 hours after they've submitted the link. So we can add in a message when the link expires. We can say something like, sorry, you cannot edit this form. So just add in whatever message you want to add, and when you're done, you can click on save. So let me remove this, and let me just click on save. So the next one is to manage the form attached. So you can also decide that all of the form attachments, like the form that has been put in, and if there's a response, if a response comes in, you can decide to back all of those response in your Google Drive. You can use your Zoho Docs, and if you're using Dropbox, you can also use Dropbox. You can also use OneDrive. So let's say you want to use Google Drive. So that means every of the response is going to come into my Google Drive account. So we have to authenticate this, and when you click on this, it will allow you to authenticate. So when you authenticate, it is going to take you to the page. It's going to take you to your Google account page, and you can pick whichever one you want to use. And when you pick that, it is going to allow you to, when you click on continue, and you can select all and just click on continue again. And it's going to ask you also that do you want to create a folder for all of these responses, or do you want to manage manually? So by managing manually, you can create that folder and just add in the responses into that folder, or you can say just create automatically and create based on the field name or based on form submission. So let's just use field name, and we click on proceed. And it is showing me how this is going to work. All of the PDF, all of the logos, all of the video upload in that form is going to go into Google Drive. When you click on proceed, then your Google Drive has been connected to your Zoho form, and this is going to help you to have a backup plan. You know, when people fill in that details like the logo and the video and everything, you can be able to get that in Google Drive. So you can also decide to store the form submission as a PDF. And when you are done with all of these settings, you click on save, and that has been saved. Then the next one is the auto trash. And for auto trash, we can decide that after a particular time, we want to trash all of the responses. So let's say that we want to trash these responses after 30 days. So that means every form submission after 30 days can go to trash. Next one is review before submission, and for review before submission, it is going to add in a button. So before they can be able to submit, if you enable this, it is going to allow them to review. So when they click on review, it is going to see all of their responses, and it's going to see what they filled in for each responses, and it can allow them to go back to the particular page and edit their responses. So you can enable this and click on save. And when you click on save, that has been saved. Then the next one is for the translation and messages. We can decide to send custom message that is going to appear in our live forms. You can be able to add in the different text you want to add in for each of these. So for instance, if we have the text inputs, we can say enter a value for this field, or if you do not want to enter a value for this field, you can just add in a custom message like please put in the value or whatever you want to put in. And for country code, you can say something like please put in your country code. And for number, you can say enter a number for this field, or change this to whatever you want. This is the default one by Zoho form, so you can decide to add in your own here. And for dates, you can say select a date. You can just switch this up to whichever way you want. So the same thing apply for all of these. And for your ratings, you can say choose your rating, or just you can change this to whatever you want. So you can do this for all of these fields in here. So when you pick the ones you want to work with, you can just click on save, and when you click on save, all of your custom messages has been added. So for translation, you can decide to start translating your form into different languages. So let's say you're sending this form to other people from other countries which English is not their main language. You can decide to translate this form to another language, and when you translate it to another language, it's going to translate this form, and it's going to offer that form in different languages. So for instance, if you say you want to translate this to let's say Portuguese, and you click on translate, it is going to translate all of your forms in here, and as you can see, it is adding this in Portuguese. And you can also change your field content, and when you click on next, it is as you can see, it added all of your field content in Portuguese. So you can do this for French, you can do this for German, just do this for whichever language you want to translate this thing just to. And you can decide to edit this. If there's an error with the translation, you can decide to edit each of them and change whatever you want. And when you click on next, it's going to go to this. This is your thank you page. You can also decide to edit your thank you page, and you can decide to edit your custom messages also. So this is what will be showing for all of your custom messages in Portuguese, and you can decide to edit it if there's an error in translation. So let's just cancel these, and yeah. So you can do this for French, you can do this for whichever one you want, and you can even add in a custom language. So for spam control, you can allow people to double opt-in. And for double opt-in, it means that we are going to be sending an email to them before we can accept their submission. So the confirmation email will be sent to them for them to be able to confirm their submission before this submission can be accepted in Zoho Forms. So this is going to help you to manage all the fake entries and manage bots that want to start filling in your form. You can also include your OTP verification, so you can decide that when people want to fill in this form, a verification OTP will be sent to maybe their phone number or their email, and when they receive the OTP, they can be able to access this form. And this is all help you to prevent spam. So let's see how this works. So if they click on the public link, the link we share to them, it is going to open an OTP page where they can be able to enter their email or their phone number, and an OTP will be sent to them. And when they put in the OTP on the verification page, the OTP will be verified, and then that is only when they can be able to access the form. And when that is done, you just need to click on configure, and you can use email, or you can use WhatsApp, you can use SMS. So whichever one works for you, and just set in the messages, set in the OTP expiration dates, and just do all of this setting. And when you are done, just click on save. So the same thing applies for, so the next one is captcha. And for captcha, you can block both from filling in this form. So you can use the Zoho Forms captcha, or you can use the Google one, or you can choose any one. The one for I am not a robot, the one where they are asked to choose images. So you can also use the Zoho one if you want. And when you do that, you can just click on save, and that will be added. So this is just to help you secure your form and make sure that you do not have spam entries and you do not have bot entries. So you can also add in the mobile app, and the mobile app is going to allow people to be able to scan QR codes, or can allow them to scan. It's going to allow them to scan QR or barcodes to autofill the form. Use the Zoho Forms captcha, or you can use whichever one works for you. So the next one is going to be the push notification. And for push notification, we can decide to send a notification to someone in our Zoho form account. So the next one is for compliance, and for HIPAA, we can be able to ensure that all of the health related form, if you're asking them for things relating about health, you have to follow the US HIPAA standard. For accessibility, you can also ensure that your form can be accessed with by those with disabilities. So we can be able to add screen reader support so that people with disabilities can be able to access this form. So when you click on yes and you click on save, that means those people with disability can be able to access this form. So for record audits, we can also track all of the changes that has been done to a form. So if a user edits the form entries, we can see who is editing what, and we can also add in a trail so that we can see those people that are modifying the form submission in Zoho Forms. So all of the users that change anything, we can see what is being changed, and we can see who is changing something. So that's for record audit. And for email audits, we can also send emails to ourselves, or we can even send it to the respondents when they put in a new record or when they update their record. So for task, we can also include the permission. So we can add in permission for tasks, and we can allow everyone to be able to see this field, and we can also remove some ones and say we do not want people to see all of these fields. So you can decide what you want people to see and what you do not want other users to see. So for filter also, you can be able to filter based on all of these fields. So we can be able to check multiple drop downs and see those people using those people who have picked some specific choices in Zoho Form. So for instance, for your CRM you currently use, you can see all those people who are using HubSpot, or you can see all those people who are using Zoho CRM based on the filter.